Hello everyone, welcome to this Fantasy Premier League edition of Keeping Score. This week we're going to be covering Game Week 3 and the guys that you need to bring into your squad. And we're going to start with the forwards. Now within your forwards, you're probably going to be looking at bringing in, if you have the budget for it, a high range striker. And the guy that you need to get for this week is Harry Kane. Because Harry Kane has an excellent fixture coming up against Newcastle at home. And barring Arsenal away, he has some good fixtures to follow up from that as well. And he's been pretty prolific against Arsenal with Youngmin Son coming back into the side, Ericsson also starting to hit form. This is the time to back Harry Kane and he could come up with some big rewards. In the mid-budget range on strikers, you've got Jamie Vardy. Now, Jamie Vardy is a bit of a left field pick because he hasn't yet scored in the fantasy season, but Jamie Vardy was looking in excellent form against Chelsea, and Maddison keeps playing him in, and he has all the possibilities to score, and he's got some great fixtures coming up. So he's got Sheffield United and Bournemouth to come, and after that, from game week 6 onwards to game week 17, he's got very enticing fixtures. So this could be the time to move for Vardy before everybody else eventually does, because if there's one guarantee, it is that Jamie Vardy is going to start scoring goals very soon. In the lower budget range, although a very popular pick who has increased in price over these weeks, but someone who's impossible to miss right now is Timo Pukki. His price has risen from 6.5 to 6.8, but I think he's still great value for your side. He's got 4 goals in the Premier League already. He's got Chelsea and West Ham to come, 2 very porous defenses, so he could pick up some extra fantasy points. Get him in before his price rises even more, because he seems like someone who is in the form of his life. Let's move on now to the midfielders. And within the midfielders, you've got your premium picks, and these are the obvious ones. So you need to have Sterling in your side because he's got Bournemouth away and Brighton Hove Albion at home after that. And perhaps you should also be looking at Sadio Mane, who's got Arsenal up in his next match and then Burnley after that, but he could theoretically score in both of those, and he's in excellent form. So make sure you've got Sterling in your side for the season because he is probably going to be the standout player in fantasy this season because he's in crazy form. But if you can't afford him, then Mane is the guy to get. In your higher mid-range options, you should be looking at Kevin De Bruyne because he started off the season in fantastic form. He's pulled up assist after assist, and it looks like he has won himself a permanent place in Pep's side and is also in good form. So if he can stay fit at 9.5, rising up to 9.6, I think this week, he is excellent value. And even better value in midfield in the similar price range is Anthony Martial, who's playing striker up front, has scored 2 goals in 2 games for United, and is consistently getting goals, even though his bracket is a midfielder. And his next couple of games are really enticing. So he's got Crystal Palace to come and Southampton after that, and I expect him to register in both games, and his price is likely to continue to go up. So get him now and perhaps keep him in your team for the rest of this season. Within your low budget mid-range options, one of my favorite picks is Leandro Trossard. He's coming in from the Belgian League and he scored a lot of goals in the Belgian League from midfield last season, and he's playing again as a winger for Brighton Hove Albion, and he came in and he scored a really good goal in the last game week, and he's got a couple of good fixtures coming up. So Southampton at home next, and he could register in that at a steal price of 6.0. Trossard could be the new Pascal Gross this season, get you a lot of points from Brighton's midfield. In your budget options, you can look at Cantwell. He's the standout guy at 4.5. I think he's moved up to 4.6 now, and his price is going to continue to rise. He had 2 assists in the last game week, and from a position and a budget at 4.5 and 4.6 where you're not going to get a lot of guys that can score you goals or even play for your teams, this is a good player to potentially pick, but not someone I'd necessarily waste a transfer on. Let's move on to defense now. And this is where in your premium range, I'm going to ask you to go for Luka Dean, who for Everton has kept 2 consecutive clean sheets. He's not given any attacking returns yet, but out of Everton's defenders, this is the guy most likely to give you attacking returns. And with Aston Villa away and Wolves at home, there is a possibility that Everton can turn their 2 consecutive clean sheets into 4. So he's definitely someone that you could have in your side, and he could give you some assist points potentially as well. In your mid-range for defenders, there isn't any really good option or pick right now. So I would urge you to avoid the 5.0 range midfield defenders for this particular game week. And we can drop straight down to the budget range, where I think there is a standout pick and someone who's gotten a price rise this week. John Lundstrom is playing in the midfield. He's on 4.1 now. He got a goal in the last week, and because he's registered as a defender, the clean sheet that Sheffield United kept managed to get him a lot of extra points, and he got some bonus points as well. So he had a big points haul last week. And the biggest thing about him is that even if he's not playing for your side every week, or he's not getting you crazy points which he might not get considering his fixtures at 4.1. As someone who's going to consistently play over the course of the season, he's someone who's a must-have in your team to enable you to spend your budget for other players in other positions and get some higher premium sort of players in your team. Let's move on now to our goalkeepers. And within our goalkeepers, the standout premium pick for me is Ederson, who could end up keeping back-to-back clean sheets against Bournemouth and Brighton and Hove Albion, because I expect Man City's team to sort of manage to get a couple of clean sheets in the coming weeks, because they're starting to get their team sorted out and the fixtures are slightly easier. And on the whole, City have proved a reliable defense over the course of the previous seasons, so Ederson's clean sheets are bound to start coming in. The other mid-range goalkeeper to premium range goalkeeper that you should look at is Jordan Pickford, because of the successive clean sheets that Everton have kept. So if you don't have the money to afford Dean in your side, perhaps Pickford is the next best bet to get yourself into the Everton defence and have a good goalkeeper who can get you a lot of clean sheets and save points. In your budget picks, I would say your standout option is Matthew Ryan. He's got Southampton at home this week, which gives you a great possibility for you to get a clean sheet. And then after that, he's got City to come. So even if he doesn't get a clean sheet, he could get a lot of save points because Matthew Ryan is very good with his reflexes and City take a lot of chances at your goal. So you could still end up getting you a decent 3 to 4 points, which I think isn't a bad haul for a 4.5 keeper that you can consistently have in your team, because the fixtures after that City game are really good for Brighton and Hove Albion. So that, in a nutshell, is the picks for each position. And I'm going to sign off on this video by discussing the captaincy picks for this week and the people that I think you should give the armband to get you the maximum points haul. And for me, there are 3 standout candidates, and the best one for me is Harry Kane. He's got Newcastle at home. Newcastle are porous. They're looking really poor under Steve Bruce, and I think Kane could get himself quite a few goals here. So if you get him a captaincy, he could get you a brace or maybe even a hat-trick if you're lucky, and that could spell a lot of points for you. The other option for me is Sterling. He's got Bournemouth away. Now, Bournemouth generally play well against the big sides, but the kind of form that Sterling is in and the way that Bournemouth have started this season, you could theoretically see Sterling grabbing a goal and assist or a couple of goals, and that could give you a very good points tally, and he could get some bonus points for you as well. So that's a really good captaincy pick in my opinion. The third pick, the safe pick that might not necessarily get you a lot of points, but could definitely get you at least a goal and therefore a good healthy 14 to 15 points from his position, is Anthony Martial if you put the captain's armband on him. So he's the safe pick, but Kane and Sterling are potentially higher rewards, and certainly Kane is the standout guy. He's my pick for captain for this week. And with that, guys, I hope that you have a very much more successful game week 3 than you've had a game week 2 and a game week 1. And I hope that you're not one of the crew that is making those early wildcard decisions, because this is not the time to be panicking or overreacting. We're only 2 games in, and a lot of the guys that haven't performed so far might suddenly pick up in form as they gain their fitness and as their teams gain chemistry. So with that, I'm going to sign off and say, Auf Wiedersehen.